actually there is this mental feeling that abhi chai ho gaya, let's go home. I would love to have you back. The panel discussion, I must say, I want to tell you is, it is all about cross-border business navigation, how to navigate the cross-border businesses, including whether we call it M&A, mergers and acquisition, that's what Sir was talking about, FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act, and of course, how to manage these cross-border relationships in the Indian context. Should be useful to all of you. I think we will make it as simple as possible. It's a panel discussion, so we will ask question answers, we will free-flowing discussion amongst all of us. It's 7 sharp, it may be 1 minute past 7. If 7:15 we come back, then 8:30 we will try to end, and then we can have a quick dinner. But it would be good that if all of you stay back. Sure. Thank you, hope to see you soon, but thank you so very much, it was wonderful.
Destined to shape the future of cross-border commerce, global teams.
Thank you, Dr. Shom. Thank you, EU India Chamber, Mr. Banerjee, Mr. Sarangi, for having me here, esteemed guests. This meet couldn't have come at a better time. I think in the Trump 2 administration, EU-India Middle East corridor has become such an important corridor for the country, and and EU also wants to increase its strategic autonomy. Right? I think we are all well versed with what's happening in the geopolitics. So, like I said, couldn't have come at a better time. While I stand here in a personal capacity representing the bank, on a personal level also I'm happy. My brother-in-law used to have a startup in Germany, so I've stayed with him in Germany, and I love what Mr. Banerjee was saying about cultural aspects and all. And before I begin my presentation, one personal anecdote that I would like to share on my travels when I used to travel to Germany as a commoner, not as just a tourist, but as a commoner, the cultural aspects. One of the things which my brother-in-law used to give me, tough looks is that when he used to taking an escalator in any mall or any subway, we as Indians have this habit of standing on both sides of the escalator. And he will give us stern looks that was the right side is meant for people who want to go fast. You have to stand on one side of the escalator. And I kind of have remembered that, and now when I'm boarding a flight or I'm at the airport, I see that people in India still stand on both sides of the elevator. And I'm kind of telling, boss, you have to leave one lane. You can't be standing on both sides of the escalator. So for culture, I really like that, but I feel that you just need to be open to invite culture and all, and you need to be perceptive more than anything else, right? So coming to the presentation, thanks for the introduction. I look after the ED FEMA desk. IDFC, the roots of IDFC Bank comes to Infrastructure Development Financial Corporation, right? It's the old DFI. It is the infrastructure financing arm of the government, which got the banking license in 2015, right? And major milestone came in 2018 when they merged Capital First of Mr. Vaidyanathan, and the merger then happened and it became IDFC First Bank, right? So this is the vision of the company, right? Bank takes a lot of pride in the digital platform. In fact, Mr. Vaidyanathan himself leads this on a personal basis. He takes a lot of pride in what we aspire to do digitally, right? This is what I said, the merger happened, and this slide shows that. This is an important slide, while I will not drown you with the numbers, but it shows that what a remarkable journey the bank has traveled in the last 4 or 5 years since the merger in December 2018, right? And we are an Indian bank. We don't have any presence abroad, so we are in a way riding the India-Bharat story, right? And I will again try to weave it how it matches to the Indian EU thing. But this is the India-Bharat story. Look look at the loan book, customer deposits, CASA deposits, you know. Look at the bank. This is the full suite of products that we offer as a bank. I mean the entire product portfolio, whether it is asset, trade. We have a full trade team amongst us in the audience today. From abroad, bringing in funds from abroad through equity, right? It happens through the FDI route. An Indian company acquiring a company abroad, setting up a subsidiary abroad happens through the ODI route. An Indian company raising funds from its parent to two choices. Either they can go to their existing banks, right, which happens in many of the cases, but many a times we feel that they have had some bad experiences with the existing banks, or some previous regulatory reporting is not in place, some maybe, you know, some trust issues with the foreign investor. And that is why there are at times a scope for a new independent banker, right? And that is where we step in. So we then become the single point of contact. We understand what is the requirement, the timeline and all, and the entire fund flow that will happen. How will it happen? When will it hit the Indian accounts? If the money is going from outside, when will it hit the offshore accounts? And the regulatory reportings that follow. So that entire leg is handled by my team, right? And this is what we do day in, day out, right? So like I said guys, this is the dedicated AD FEMA desk for the bank. What we bring to the people who are not so well versed with the escrow, right? And pre and post transaction support. I have kind of already covered this. So let me take you through the kind of deals we have done in recent past, and that will give you a flavor of what we bring to the table. In the previous discussion that was happening, I think somebody referred to next generation being not interested in business, right? This is not just happening in Europe. This is happening even in India, right? Next generation often has a mindset and a way of looking at things which is very different from the way their forefathers have run this business, and many a times they don't even want to enter into this business, right? The first deal that we did recently is a remarkable example of that. There is this Agarwal family which is based out of Gurgaon, which runs one of the largest northeast transport companies in India. Has a 40-year-old legacy, right? And the four brothers were involved in the business, but now their sons and their daughter-in-laws and their grandchildren are no longer interested in running the business. Koreans were picking up stake in this company, right? Now the challenge of this transaction was that we were dealing with 26 selling shareholders, this entire family. Now Koreans were not trusting the 26 selling shareholders because they felt that this is a disjointed family. Indians, this entire family were not trusting the Koreans, right? Because they feel that Koreans are very hard negotiating conditions that, look, the fund flow, suppose we choose T date as the closure of the transaction, the fund flow will happen today morning itself. Korea is 3 hours ahead of us, so they will remit the money today morning. You guys have to swipe the funds, credit the funds in an escrow, a cash escrow. At the same time, 2 days before the transaction, these 25 selling shareholders would park their shares in a shares escrow with the bank. So on the T date of the transaction, the two will swap. Cash moves to the 25 selling shareholders and shares move to the Koreans. And it all has to be done from 9 o'clock when typically the bank would open till 5:30 when the NSDL closes. So it's a single day transaction. You have to do everything in a single day, but please get the paraphernalia ready so that this entire objective is achieved in a single day, because both the parties are not trusting each other, right? And you know, there are other challenges which come, and again a very funny anecdote is that when I asked the PwC guys, why can't the day be moved? I mean, what is so fixed about
T-debt closure. बोला नहीं सर, बच्चों के holidays planned है यूरोप में. I said, yeah, this was a 240 crore deal. I said, yeah, these guys will, in their 2 lifetimes, they will not be able to earn 240 as what their forefathers have built. And Europe का holiday important है. So anyway, but I'm glad we could conclude that deal, right? Second, and you know, there's one more aspect which I picked up from the earlier discussion is that in today's India, you know, yes, they may not be a 240 crore deal, but in their own way, they are startups who are raising minuscule amounts of money. Minuscule in the sense they could be raising 500,000, 1 million, but aspirationally, growth-wise, their roadmap is chalked out, and they need the support of the AD bank there. Right? That is where we step in. The second deal I thought I'll run through is again very interesting for us as banker, is that there is a US-based company which has been renting personality development courses in India. Now this US-based company didn't have a presence in India. The GST department picked up. And I asked the consultant that how did the GST department pick up? They said, sir, GST आजकल ना URL पे URL, am I getting the right? URL बोलते हैं? क्या बोलते हैं मतलब वो जो वेबसाइट का एड्रेस है URL, हाँ URL पे वो सर्च मारते हैं तो उनको पता चल गया एंड उन्होंने ये पिकअप किया एंड नोटिस भेज दिया एंड दिस US बेस्ड कंपनी इन गुड फेथ रिस्पॉन्डेड टू दिस नोटिस. उन्होंने पूछा भाई कितने बच्चों को हिंदुस्तान में पढ़ा दिया आपने? 4 साल में. तो उन्होंने पता कितने बच्चे को पढ़ा दिया हमने. तो बोला भैया ये लो 25 करोड़ का फाइन. अब I as a banker honestly was not aware that company which does not have a presence in India can be imposed a GST penalty. Consultant told me there is something called an OIDR regulations under which there is a clause that even if you are rendering online services in India under a B2C model, C को तो पकड़ नहीं पाएंगे because C तो फैला हुआ है. B is liable to pay GST. Now, when the consultant reached out to us, right? So, you know, they said that I asked them that any plans to open India sub. They said, sir, we don't have any imminent plans, and that has to be taken at a board level. I said, okay, we have a product proposition that whenever a client doesn't have an India account, still they can open a special type of account called an SNRR account. I don't know how many of you will do it, but take for example, this is a special type of account, right? So I said, SNRR खोल लेते हैं. तो उन्होंने बोला ठीक है आप चेकलिस्ट दे दो. तो चेकलिस्ट देखे तो बोले आप तो सब कुछ मांग रहे हो जो KYC में मांगते हो. तो बोला सर मतलब वो तो मांगेगा ही ना, मतलब you know, practically it is the same. तो बोले no, our board will not approve sharing these documents. You tell us a simplified way. We just have to pay this challan. So we again kind of structured the transaction with very minimal documents. With 3-4 documents itself, we brought the funds. We asked their consultant to raise the GST challan. We converted the funds, paid that challan, right, and gave them the receipt. So again, I mean, I'm sharing these transactions like why I'm sharing is that FDI, ODI in a typical manner are very straightforward transactions, but all these transactions have certain nuances where it called for us as an IDFC bank to go beyond our mandate, understand what the transaction demanded and see how we can tweak it to the customer requirements. I'm not saying on every transaction we can do that because there's a regulator sitting on our head. But wherever possible, we try to, you know, see if there a middle ground can be found. Right? We've done dividend payments. I'm sure with companies sitting here, a lot of opportunities will be there. These are MNC clients giving back dividend to their parent. Many a times we have seen that very company with rich legacy don't have previous reportings in place, and that is where we have assisted clients who don't have previous reportings in place. Right? We recently opened a demat account for Ivy League US University, and that US University received a tax refund from Government of India. So we handled their transaction, right? And that is what I have put up. In an M&A scenario, we did a large deal where I can name the transaction, it's out in the public domain now, where Ruchi Soya, certain investors of Ruchi Soya were selling their stake to Patanjali. And it was all a NR to NR transaction. Foreign leg, there's no India leg, at that time there's no India leg to transaction. But certain taxes were payable to Indian government. And that is where we came in and we paid those taxes, on behalf of them. Again, we kind of structured a transaction. And when we are saying structured transaction, I'm not saying we are into structuring, but we kind of sit with their law firms and their advisor and try to come out with a middle ground that this is what is possible in the banking domain. Please let us know if something can be worked out here. Right? We've recently done a deal where, there is a power company in Sikkim and it had received Teesta Power and it had received investment from Singapore. And the investments didn't fructify and finally their thing went to NCLT and they were kind of reducing their capital and an exit had to be provided to the foreign investors, right? So money had to go back to Singapore, right? And last but not the least, it's a very small transaction, but it's remarkable in the ways that it has really tested us. So there is this lady whose grandfather had invested in Calcutta Electric Company. Calcutta Electric Company was British controlled till 1970s. I was not aware. Calcutta Electric Company became a PSU only in 1970s. So this lady is a UK citizen. She has received shares from her grandfather. She has been receiving dividends. Now she wants to sell those shares. Whenever you want to sell shares, and we ask for previous acknowledgement on record. Now she said that I can't go back to my father or grandfather. They are no more on this planet. I don't have any records, but I am receiving dividends and I want to sell their shares. Right? Again, she has been knocking the doors on several banks and it's a tough transaction. We felt that this is a genuine transaction. We kind of supported her. We wrote a letter to RBI saying that this is what has happened. RBI gave us a solution that why don't you call for the annual report of Calcutta Electric Company, see if she's there on the list of shareholders, and RBI asked for certain documents so that we can verify that her grandfather/father was there as a shareholder. So, we kind of established that. Then she had shares in physical format that had to be converted into Demat. And now finally we are on the verge of, we also assisted her to appoint a broker, right? And now finally she will be selling these shares and we will be remitting her money to UK. This transaction has taken us good 9-10 months to structure, right? So India has its own set of unique problems, right? The idea of, this was the last, I will not go to any further slide, right? But in short, please reach out to us. We would be happy, we would love the straightforward transactions because it doesn't ask for much. But if it's not a straightforward also, if there are any nuances, please reach out to us. The ITFC team is there. Like I said, while I look after the FEMA desk, but there is a team which looks after day-to-day banking, your trade-related transactions, and anything to do with banking. We'll be happy to support you. Right? So thank you, Dr. Shom. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
He's a fraudulent partner with a strong foreign investment laws, a DWE and Microsoft IT scholar. He has been instrumental in advising European investors on complex legal and strategic matters. So, Mr. Siddharth Sarigi is the country representative of Diorio India Private Limited, the Indian arm of Diorio SA, the world's leading olive oil company, under his leadership. So, Mr. Neeraj Sheth, a veteran in financial services industry with over 20 years of experience. He is the designated partner at iCaspol Capfin Advisors LLP. a boutique investment banking and consulting firm, a passionate investor relation expert and serial entrepreneur. So, Mr. Santosh Bora, who leads business advisory and consulting services at Forvis Mazars India in Mumbai, a chartered accountant and CFA, a visionary in the renewable energy sector, with a career spanning decades across diverse domains, including wind energy, mechanical components, and hybrid. Mr. Praveen Kamat, General Manager at the International Financial Services Centers Authority.
Panel discussion. So it is very, very challenging. Now, I want to stand here because if I sit, then people will not be able to see. Definitely, I'm talking about $3 That's equivalent to the size of the GDP of India, which happens to be currently the fourth largest country. The second information is 7 out of 10 M&As fail. Only 3 out of 10 M&As succeeds. Now, it could be various reasons why it fails. The problem is it's 8 o'clock. I want to give you an anecdote as to how to make an M&A work. I'm not getting into legal issues because all the legal fraternities are all here. I was thinking, should I not? But really, I should because it is something good to learn. Think of an Indian marriage. Think of an Indian marriage. When a marriage takes place, a girl comes into a home. A girl comes to a new home. And this new home, the new wife or the new girl who has just got married, loves the husband, and that lady is loving the husband. Now this wife, this girl comes home, and she is thinking that I have now got a new mother, which is the mother-in-law. Now that I have got a new mother, which is the mother-in-law, my mother-in-law will do a lot of things for me. Because that is what her mother used to do, but now she expects that from her mother-in-law. Very nice. Now the mother-in-law says that I have now got a new daughter. Now my daughter will do a lot of things for me. So the mother-in-law thinking that I will get love from this new daughter. The daughter is thinking this new mother-in-law will exactly behave the way my mother is to behave. What is the confusion? That this girl is thinking that she will get love, and the mother-in-law is thinking she will get love from this new daughter. Reverse. And therefore, the fight between the mother-in-law and the daughter starts because the expectation matching is not taking place. Reverse. If the daughter, the newly married girl, expects that now I have got a new mother, I will give a lot of love to her, then it starts working very well. The mother-in-law, if she starts thinking, I have now got a new daughter, I will love the new daughter as if it's my daughter, the situation changes. This is the problem of M&A. In M&A, the acquiring company thinks that I'm going to get that. The acquiring company thinks I'm going to get technology, I'm going to get market, I'm going to get money, relationship fun. But if the company thinks I have to give technology, give market, give finances, technology, M&A works. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, 7 out of 10 M&As fail, not because of anything else, because this is give and take. The relationship of give and take, what is the expected give and what is the expected take. If there is a give and take which works as happens in Indian marriage, actually it works. Time and time, I'll give you one little example. You must have seen this example of Tata's buying Himalaya water. Have you seen Himalaya water? Tata's have bought Tata beverages. It's from the right from Himalayas. You will see in the topmost restaurants Himalaya water. The Tatas took over this Himalaya water. It was an MSA. And he said that Mr. Tata said, there is a small little water company. What I would do, I am going to give them distribution muscle, Tata beverage distribution muscle. They never, Mr. Tata did not think I'm going to get that technology how they are making mineral water. No, he said I'm going to give the result. Himalaya water is now one of the best drinking water in the country because it was a give and not take. Sorry, I took 4 minutes for this. I will now go. This is a fantastic panel. We are cross-border. We are really hear you. My first question, Karan.
Thank you, Mr. Van. So, just to slightly give the background of myself and my firm. So, we have office in 50 countries, head office in Germany. And that's why a lot of assignments which we do have a cross-border M&A element involved. Now, as Mr. Banerjee asked that, what is something from regulatory part which is essential here? So definitely on the documentation side, we have to be very robust documentation. And when there is a M&A happening in India, then we also have to see what kind of expectation the investor is having from India. So, and we have to see whether it can be matched with the regulations which we have here. We have seen also that India is now attracting a lot of M&As due to geopolitical reasons. Also after COVID, India got its due attention. Plus we also see that government is doing a lot of regulatory side. I give you a few examples that whenever a company is coming to India or expanding within India on their manufacturing side, there is a policy framework on incentives and subsidies. Central government also gives us incentives, state government also gives us incentives. This is something which is now we see very attractive for foreign companies coming to India doing M&A, because of course India being a huge market, it gives them a market penetration, but at the same time we also spoke earlier that how Gujarat government, for example, is so welcoming. So similarly, the regulations which government is making on the incentive side, subsidy side is also something which attract a lot of investors. Secondly, there have been challenges which we had seen on regulatory side which government is now addressing. For example, on the tax side, so we are now GST, earlier we had service tax and a lot of other taxes, now they are all being consolidated in GST. It's still a work in progress, but definitely life is better. Simplification of the direct tax. Labor laws, will be, the drafts are ready, will be changed very soon. So we see that regulatory side, government is also doing its bit, which is making India an investment-friendly country and attracting a lot of investments, and regulatory side definitely is doing its bit.
Excellent, excellent. Not in order of priority, but the way I have it here, actually I think it's okay with you. You are a global company. What is it that lesson you've learned to make a global company successful, especially when it comes to, I'm now asking this question, how is it that you have made it work? How is it that parent companies made it work when it comes to this cross-border relationship, especially in terms of legal issues or procedural issues?
So for us, we have actually learned it the hard way. The examples that a lot of us were hearing when we started off blind. We probably did not do all the due diligences, all the documentations and everything in terms of when we started, we used to have at that point in time, not even GST, the sales tax structure, and that used to be madness. Then we got into the GST framework also. To that change management of going from the sales tax to the GST environment was also something that needed to be managed. The challenge was that for a European construct, it is the cultural aspect where they think that the contracts are super clear, super clean, and if you go for a advisory on it, you will get a very clean and simple answer. Whereas they are exactly the opposite in India. The contracts are much more fluid. If you go for an advisory, the contracts are framed such that you can make both kind of deliberations. Both answers might be true in it. So then, what we learned over a period of time is you will need to have global oversight, but you will also need to have a robust local team which will drive the execution on ground. So you need to build the global local connect, so the famous local structure where you will have to still do your global deliverables but also do the local ones. It took us a good 4 years to build comfort between the Indian team and the global team to say, hey, these guys are telling me the correct things, and for the global guys to also say yes. We lost a lot of money between that, of course, but now after that has been built, it's become really easy. So it is all about trust.
So what I am learning from you, you must have a local consultant who understands the global issues.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Neerav, over to you. You are a government expert, at least relationships with government. What is our advice, what is your advice to all of us, that how we should play this government card in order to make an MBA success?
Good evening everyone. Just to formally introduce myself, I am Neerav Sheikh. I represent iCasper Capital Advisors LLP. We are transaction banking, fundraising and private and public market fundraisers. So to answer Robert's question, is a very good question. I otherwise working with Steve Chamber. I am also on the advisory board of ITO, that is Indian Economic Trade Organization. So working with governments for any deal, maybe it could be business, it could be in M&A, for that matter, gives you a lot of access to a lot of information. That information could be regulatory, that information could be business, that information could be the last mile what you need to to actually get into that transaction, maybe for promoters or people and all that. So that really helps, and the best way to channelize yourself, and because we do a transaction, we're not done in EU per se, but we do it in the African continent, where the channel process goes us through the embassy, the particular country's embassy in India, and then you reach to the top management or the top-notch politician of that particular country, and then escalate your proposals in different stages. Once you're sure about, the entire process is, once you're sure about acquiring or doing business with that particular country or a particular company of that country, it really helps, because also government gives you a lot of not only access to information, but also gives you a back that, okay, we stand beside you if at all anything goes wrong with your transaction, we are there for you. So there is a transaction I would just like to share. There is a very small country in between South Africa. Name. It is not in South Africa, but it is the boundaries, all the across boundaries in it's a very small country. So I'll just give the name. So in that there how beautiful South African government works with that country is, the country has very beautiful spring waters, natural spring waters. South Africa does not have that. What they do is, they buy the spring waters from them at very cheap cost. They bottle it in South Africa and they sell again in that country. Right? It's a beautiful business sense what it means. Now, seeing this, where people, Indian business owners and even other business owners from Arab countries, they wanted to set up some bottling plants in that country. Now, because we had some good access through ITO and otherwise people we know, we directly set up a plant which was typically getting hiccups because of the lobbying of the South African government. So that is how you really get an access to business out there. And the spring waters are and you can sell it all across Africa in that if you set up over. Now here the best part is the government when it's in backing you. You have all the access to all the departments that you need to go to, right? And that is how you can leverage your business and your talks. Thank you.
So what you're saying, keeping the government on your right side helps.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Just to mention, it's not business alone with government. It's an Ahmedabad is required in government. Santosh, you are a valuation expert. And in M&A, valuation is all that matters. Can you give us some guideline as to how to get this valuation aspect right and why does things go wrong?
Thanks, Robert. This is a very interesting question, actually. So when we talk about valuation, people really think that it's a very technical, heavy job, right? But at the end of the day, it is your soft skills that really drives the deal forward. I can give you an interesting example that we were working with a French company, and this was a deal that started during COVID time, and we were working from Mumbai. And usually once the deal starts, we prefer to go to the target's premises and start doing our work. But due to COVID, we could not travel there. But more important part, how we arrive at valuation, you need information, right? And the information was not flowing in. And we waited for almost 1.5 months. So at that time, my client got a bit apprehensive. Is there anything wrong with the target, right? So what I told him is that I'm an accountant, so by nature I'm conservative. But when it comes to India, in India you will find good businesses and great business leaders. Okay. The problem here is that the communication, which is not happening because of the COVID period. So once the COVID, rules got relaxed, I took the first flight to Chennai, and I went and the first day I kept very neutral language for the introduction. But the next day, when there was a bit of relaxation in the relationship, I asked this owner of the target that, sir, what is the reason that we did not get this information? Because, with the availability of the vendor data room, etc., we should be able to have this info. So, what this person said is very interesting, that in 90s, he was working with DuPont, and one fine day, DuPont decided to shut the business. And then they left the country, okay, that division. Now, therefore, he was very apprehensive against these MNCs. What I told him is that French are very different from the Americans. French people take their own time to decide, and they are very process-oriented. So the apprehension of the target came in not sharing the information because the French were taking a lot of time. But they understood that French are very different from the Americans, and that helped with the relationship. So, the start point of a difference in valuation is not about technicalities that what multiples would be paid. It is about the communication. I can give you another very recent example. In Ahmedabad, we have a deal ongoing. Last month, when the deal started, the target had 16 multiples. Okay, and the normal multiple for that business, he also knows that it's 8. However, in India, clients do not find, the target do not find the right sell-side advisor. Most of the time they rely on their chartered accountants who's doing their audit, with whom he's been associated for past 20 years. Now what do you do? Are you going to tell them that this guy is wrong? No, that would not work. You have to educate them and have patience. So apart from communication, the patience is the second skill set that really comes into play. You share information, keep the channel open. That person has come to level capital in 1 month's time. So what you need to really focus beyond number is communication and followed by the patience.
So valuation is not about numbers always, but patience patience, and also communication. Provide information so that you get the right valuation. That's a new way of looking at valuation, I must say. Thank you so much. Because
By the way, the country was Lesotho.
country was
Lesotho.
Little. Oh wow. I didn't know that there's a country like Little. Wow. That's fantastic. Wonderful. Mr. You are renewable energy king.
Yes.
You have done businesses all across the globe.
Yes.
Would you like to share some experiences which we as Indians should not follow? Maybe one do's and one don'ts perhaps as to what you have learned?
For renewable energy?
Because you have been in the renewable energy, but what
Okay.
have you learned in cross-border trades?
Okay. We have established around, thank you, Chairman. Thanks to everybody, and particularly you for having organized this wonderful session. And coming back to the question, all that renewable energy, what we established here is Denmark and Spain and Germany. And these are all the greenfield projects, right from land purchase to the machinery layout, measure, marketing, and then up to the invoice level. We normally ensure the book knowledge as well as practical knowledge. I have around 33 years of experience in joint venture technology transfer and all after IIT graduation. What we give the first priority is for the relationship building exercise, so-called the culture. The culture is the top priority for us, and then comes to the financial aspect of MBA and FEMA. So we make the frequent face-to-face visit and establish the relation. I should say in between that all the companies, the European companies that we have established here, if anybody want, I can ready to name it also, are all benchmarking companies. We have done quite a lot of different than what is available in books also, that I would like to share in some few words. First of all, in the cultural point of view, we know, we nod our head for yes and what, yes and no also. They get confused. And some deals have been lost also because of that. You know that very well. Everybody knows that. So we are very clear in making our culture by organizing a frequent visit, frequent shop floor visit, and then exposing our departmental head also to equally go there and list out all the gap analysis. Same product we will be making here, there also will be making, but the processes are different. The material that it is required here in India is not required there. Any product, you know, all of you, must be changed to suit the Indian culture, Indian conditions, including the chocolate. So after then all that, then only we go for this, financial due diligence and technology, the cross-border tax issues, etc., etc. So after that, we create the clear joint venture, listing out everything what we have learned out of this exercise, and then even the exit class also we list it out, and at what exit they can go. These are all theories, everybody knows that. Beyond that, few points I would like to share for the benefit. What we have done is, one of the European company wanted to come to India, and their product is already pump, it is pumps. Pump person also is here. The Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu is called Pump City. So when we wanted to come here, there were a lot of opposition. They went to the government, they did not allow us to enter into India. So I appeared before the Manufacturers Association members like this, and then explained that these pumps are different than what is done in
Coimbatore, because our company is integrated with electronic controls, pressure vessels, and then control panels and variable speed drives, etc., etc. Then they were little quiet. Then we established. After that, believe me, entire pump company started copying pumps and technology from us. So that was the great success. After that, we always, whenever the European product come here, we always look at it, the variables, what we can do, how cheaper we can make, how certain features are not required for India, material have to be changed. Then also we take it at the time of initial setup itself. After that, some in FDA way, if you have established the product here also, some product may be requiring a special approval from Government of India. Like I was once sent to, on a government to government approval, I was sent to learn the shock calculation to supply the product to frigate pumps, frigate ships. So these are also, we need to be very clear before entering into all that. All this has to be very clear before signing and filing to FDA and other government agencies. And for the same one other company, European company again, we established the company in film studio, and we promoted the logo and the product through various TV channel programs, and we permitted movie also to be taken in our company, and thereby the company is the leading company in India right now. So some as per theory, some beyond the theory, out of the box thinking, has made all the companies that we have set up as a very leading and benchmarking companies in India.
So Mr. Bharat, if I have to, you have a lot of learnings, but one learning which I have got from you is that culture is very important. That seems to be the heart of the story.
We spent around at least 6 months for that.
But Santosh, I feel almost the same thing. When it comes to valuation, it is this communication, understanding each other's regular culture. Such a soft topic we tend to avoid when we look at the hard topics. Praveen, last speaker is not very easy. You are a GIFT, you are a cyber security expert in the financial transaction wizard. Most of us don't even understand GIFT में gift होता है क्या? Could you kindly explain the financial transactions including GIFT and how, most important, because you are dealing with finance and that also in the so-called cyber space, how do you avoid cyber security or cyber crime? I know it's towards the end, everyone must be hungry, but in cyber crime you have to explain.
Our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi had a vision that Indian companies are going to Hong Kong, Singapore and other financial centers to raise capital, to issue bonds, to issue equity, to raise capital for use in India. So our Prime Minister thought that why they need to go to Singapore or Hong Kong? Let them raise the capital in India only, let the foreign investor come here. So that is the reason why the International Financial Center at GIFT City was created. So it was set up in 2015 and the regulator for GIFT City, IFSC for which I work, International Financial Services Centers Authority, was set up in 2020. So I was one of the earliest employees to come to GIFT City on deputation from SEBI. Now the gist of IFSC, I'll just give it to you in one para. INR transactions in the financial center is not permitted. There are 15 currencies enabled for transactions in GIFT City. This includes US dollar, British pound, yen, euro, Danish krone, Russian ruble as well, UAE dirham. So 15 currencies are permitted. You can transact in any of the 15 currencies. The banking facilities are available. There are 31 banks which are operational, which have their branch, Indian and foreign banks which have their branches in GIFT City. You can go to any one of the bank branch, open an account and do your transaction. So GIFT City primarily has been set up for cross-border flow of capital. Now when you mean cross-border flow of capital, which borders? It can be from European Union or the US, one stop at GIFT as a fund, and then onward into India as FDI, FBCI or FPI, any one of the three routes, or it can also be from India to overseas, the ODI transaction. There is a 15-year tax break available in GIFT City, and the cost of doing business, the cost of legal consulting is minuscule compared to what you have in United States, Hong Kong, Singapore. Now if you see all the major financial centers in the world, they are some of the most expensive cities in the world. GIFT City is one of the least expensive cities in the world, let me tell you. Of course, we don't have the infrastructure of Singapore and GIFT City, which is growing. Rome was not built in a day. 5 years on, I can tell you the difference that you see. GIFT City 10 years back was a ghost town. Okay, it was a barren land. Now you go, when you're landing from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, when you're landing at Ahmedabad airport, just a few kilometers from the Ahmedabad airport, or from the plane you can see GIFT City. It's visible now. Both during daytime and night, you can see how much it has developed. And the pace of development, if it goes up, in the next 5 years, we will eclipse some of the financial centers in the world. That I can guarantee you. Now, with respect to cyber security, the way we do it, we have interlinkages with major foreign banks. So flow of capital happens, funds happen from GIFT City to overseas banks like Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Citibank and so on. These are secured by our cyber security guidelines. The necessary systems are in place. I'll be brief about this. So it's very, very secure. There is no issue there. And GIFT City branches have their own IFSC code, which was not there earlier. So transmitting money now into a branch in GIFT City is very, very easy. So this is the gist of it. And I would like to deviate a small from the question regarding culture. So I'm from Goa. I worked in a startup in Goa back in 2004, and we had both French and American clients, for software development. So what I noticed was that the American client was extremely impatient. If you told him that it would be done in 10 days, he said, no, you take 2 days and you deliver it to me in 2 days. But his tolerance for errors was much higher. The French client was very, very patient. If you told him that it would take 10 days to develop a package, he would say, you take 20 days, but when you deliver it to me, I don't want to see any errors. This was the cultural mindset. But 20 years on, my interactions as a regulator with the European Union, I can just say, I hope this is not being recorded. I'm just telling in this room. Yeah, cultural challenge is there, but it's from both sides. So some of the people here said that Indians don't understand the European culture. Like on 24th meetings are scheduled, 24th December or so on. Absolutely right, it has been done by government as well. Okay, I'm privy to it, I've seen it firsthand. But let me also tell you there's a cultural challenge there. As a regulator, when I interact with some of the regulatory institutions in European Union and some of the governments, especially the senior citizens, there is this colonial mindset that we were the rulers of this country. We cannot be on the same table. That colonial mindset is there. That colonial mindset has to go. Unless and until Europe changes with this colonial mindset, the greater collaboration between European Union and India is not possible. This is my personal opinion. And I have personally seen this. That colonial mindset has to go. It has to be decimated. And I am seeing that in the last 10 years, I'm not making any political statements, there has been a visible change in this mindset, for various reasons. So unless and until this mindset within the European Union changes, there cannot be any greater collaboration between the EU and India. We are on our way to becoming a global superpower, and we are going to reach there. The Prime Minister has said 2047 as Viksit Bharat. That 2047 will become a developed nation. We are going to become a developed nation, end of story. Whether there are enemies of the state like it or not, we are going to be there. And GIFT City is going to emerge as the top financial center in the world. We are going to achieve it no matter what happens. So this is all I wanted to say.
Just imagine at 8:30 p.m. you've woken everyone up. One, you say we will be Hong Kong and Singapore by 5 to 6 years. And second, you are saying you better change so that we will also change. Thank you. It's 8:30. I want to ask one question to everybody, all of you. And I want to open this to all of you so that we can go for an dinner. The question which I want to ask all of you, each one, starting from you, of course, what is that one thing you want us to change where European Chamber can, based on all that what you have done, each one of you, you are very experienced, you have done cross-border transactions, you are advising, doing, executing. What is that one change you want your chamber to work for you to make it happen? And this one question, each one of you, short and sweet.
Thanks, Robin. This is a very good question. And rather, I would definitely look at building an EU chamber, building a platform which gives you gives all the members a cross-border access for a cross-border access for all the businesses from India to EU or from EU to India, which will help achieve the Viksit Bharat dream of 2047 much earlier, because that will give you a platform which will give you that robust connections and the deal flows or the business opportunities which could really change the mindset and acceptance of that cultural thing also. Yeah, that's how it is.
So you're saying if we can set up some sort of a cross-border exchange, European Union. Oh wow, what a fantastic work. I wish we could do that. Let's see whether we can do it. Naramin, over here.
So I would, rather than saying a change, I would suggest that European Chamber continues its focus on so-called smaller European countries. Why? So because I've been to Latvia, Estonia myself also. There are these countries like Germany, France, Italy who have their own chambers, who are representing and creating such platform. But there is a lot of potential in these smaller countries where we can also tap that potential, and those countries also get exposure about India. For example, Poland. Poland is very advanced in IT, but there is something which I see that in India not everyone knows about that. So I won't say change, but if there's something more we can do, then focus can be more on the smaller countries. We heard Dr. Shom earlier, there is a delegation planned in October to Latvia, I understand. So I think this is something which we should continue, and some gentlemen actually recommended also that if we can make it more sectorial based. This is something which I had seen happening with Belgium and Germans, that these delegations are sectorial based. But for those smaller countries, maybe right now we go with a broader perspective, then be more focused on something.
Wonderful. Dharamveer is very clearly saying, focus on smaller countries, you will be able to, your ROI between investment will be much higher. Wonderful. Thank you, Dharamveer. Exchange, smaller countries. Ravin Bhai.
I agree with his point. We have to tap into the smaller countries in the European Union. And then I would revert back to one of the points. I believe Mr. Wara made that point during your session. He said that there are senior citizens within the European Union who have that expertise and the know-how, and they would like to contribute to the Indian economy. We should tap into that. And I'll give you an example. In Germany, there's a town called Augsburg. That town supplies 60% of industrial robots to China. Now, China did not have the know-how of building industrial robots. So what they did, they are sending this government-sponsored Chinese agents used to go to the European Union. They used to mark these people, who are these experts, approach them, take their know-how, get it back to China, then build it. That's how China has built up its manufacturing economy. We need to also do the same, but we are not doing it as a nation, right? This is where your role will come into the picture. Tapping into these fields of expertise and these people, especially these people who are retired and who are ready to contribute. These guys have to be tapped into. That know-how is precious, and no textbook contains that know-how. And I'm just talking about AI and industrial robots, but it can go across many sectors. Now you see a country like Romania. I'm in the field of cybersecurity. Romania has some of the best hackers in the world. There is a company called Bitdefender, which is Romanian. Their product, the antivirus, the firewalls, it's Romanian. They manufacture it, they've designed it themselves. And they export it to the rest of the world. And they have some of the best cybersecurity guys. So collaboration with this type of countries is very much essential. And you as a chamber can play an immense role in this.
Ravin, you gave an out-of-the-box thinking. Sheila was talking about how these retirees or trainees can come here and work. I wish you can do something like this. Carpet bomb everyone over 60s and bring them into India and get all the work from them. Wonderful, super idea. Sheila, what's your idea? What is that one thing to change?
So for me, this was something that comes from the discussion we were having, and people were saying once a deal is done, the next deal is easy. So how do we facilitate the first one? How do we make it so that there is trust that the money flows in? How can we as an ecosystem make that trust work across both EU and India, of saying, okay, if the transaction parameters are this, Are we able to do it? I guess once the first date is done, then it just opens the floodgate. How can we then be the custodians of that or help ideate around that might be something interesting.
So trust, again culture, again software has to, can you believe? The most hardest people here are talking about software things. Just imagine, wonderful. How sir? Over to you. What do you want to do?
I don't know whether it is right or not. I would like to suggest that you getting associated with various industry associations to have a closer relation. And as we were demanding industry-specific visits, set out specific delegations. And Chairman, I would like to kindly submit to you that EU Chamber will not engage in getting orders or anything. It is the right approach. Absolutely, that's how it need to be. But at the same time, indirectly we can facilitate in whatever the way that we can want to our members to increase the revenue. Indirectly, without any commitment, we can put 10 different conditions that we are not responsible for your sales. At the same time, we can do so many other methods to expose our Indian, and also, you know, the MSMEs, good amount of talent are available today. Around 70 million units are available. Out of that, I should say at least 30 million are in part with all our requirement, multi-company requirement of certifications to supply to us. They can be exposed to European Union in the same way. Right now we are focusing only on to big companies and large companies that can penetrate down to MSMEs.
So a few suggestions. One, of course, what I think you said that can be coordinated among the chambers, which will be one holistic solution, is what I think your suggestion is.
Association like IWDA.
Yes, we understand. Either chamber or association, one holistic solution. Thank you, sir. I think this we can work towards for sure. Sector specific is what you actually want to say. Thank you. Santosh Bhai, the foundation.
The last to suggest, right? So I think I must agree that all of them have suggested really good inputs. And if I were to attempt, to give one more suggestion, first I believe that whatever suggestion I give, it's a joint responsibility. It's not the only responsibility of, let's say, whether the senior vice president or a governing council. But as a member, we are also responsible to do something together. Okay, I've seen like for the past 2 years, we have been working very closely with EU chambers, and we have seen focus on those small and medium enterprises. I can tell you that I have done one workshop in Mumbai where CXOs participated from Delhi, Bangalore, not only from Mumbai. Those were focused on the AI. Now it's going beyond AI, automation, So I believe that skilling them, and those have to be ROI focused. So while I'm suggesting this to you, it's my responsibility also to come back with how we can do it. That's all.
Santosh, thank you. MSMEs, high-tech technology, maybe AI, something which will work, high ROI. Thank you. I think we can do a lot. If I had to take holistically what you guys are saying, culture, understanding each other, communication, software aspects. India is going to be big very soon, whether they like it or not. Very positive. 8:35 or 8:40. Ladies and gentlemen, over to you. It's between us, you, and the dinner. Come on. Any question? You're the smartest people in front of you. Any asking questions? Please ask whatever you want. Cross-border transactions, cross-border M&As. Not transaction, M&A transactions. Go ahead. One hard question which nobody can answer, just imagine 7 of us don't know the answer. Dinner time, people are hungry. Just imagine, people are hungry. It is Gujarat, there is no liquor, so there is. Had it in Bombay, you would say, you know what? The red liquor comes. Go ahead.
So we are answering a question from the first.
Yeah. So there was a gentleman who had asked one question that there are a lot of opportunities in your region where the second generation is not interested in running those business, and those are certainly good buying opportunities for Indian business owners, right? So please note that for this Mazars, I'm actually representing a French originated firm, okay? And we have offices across EU region, okay? So let me know if you have any specific requirement, I can help you, on that path.
You have a question, you have a suggestion.
Hello? Yeah, okay. So on a lighter vein, when you said about liquor, the frequent complaint from the foreign investors I interact with is saying that, look, the financial transactions, the deals are signed over a glass of liquor, I mean a glass of wine, right? Be it in a plane or be it anywhere, right? So they're saying if the wine is not available, then how am I going to come to do that transaction? So for that even I don't have an answer. But last Saturday I attended a stand-up comedy show of Ashish Solanki, and Ashish Solanki said, "No, Gujarat is a dry state." And whenever I talk to my friends in Ahmedabad, he says the liquor available nahi hai. So the friends from Ahmedabad say, "Aapko kya chahiye?" This is the reply he gets. But anyways, that said apart, I would like to say one thing. Whatever the EU chamber does, I think it should be aligned with what our MEA also does. In the sense, if you see some of the nastiest questions that are asked to our external affairs minister come from European journalists, and they are from certain nationalities. The EU has 27 countries, you like to
We
say.
should not discuss this.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay, sure.
That's maybe.
In the chamber, there will be plus or minus on both sides. Sorry for this. Yeah, any questions from there? Come on, go ahead. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyone can answer, I think.
It's a difficult question.
What are the most common post-deal disputes?
Yeah, but we could hear. Most common.
Post-deal disputes that you see arising involving India in the cross-border deals.
Well, it's a good question, but very
Can you repeat the questions to people?
Post-deal, disputes that you see arising involving, India in cross-border deals.
arises only when your documents at the time of the agreements that you do, whether it's a JV or an acquisition, okay, are not formed up well. Now that creates wrong expectation when you go, ahead in the, I would say, post-transaction. Very common cultural issues, okay, so when people have not reflected enough that, how they will integrate the employees, okay, so that's a very broader topic, but I can get into the topics which are municipal, for example, issues regards to sale, how the sort of reporting needs to be done, but cultural issues is the most difficult issues that organization faces, specifically when it is a deal between Europe and India. As I said, the one line which I gave to that target owner is that, French take their time, but once they are with you, they will be with you for long, unlike Americans. Okay, so what happens is you need to understand them well. Now this is what the starting point is.
I just wanted to make a suggestion that see, culturally, okay, we may not want to drink, but see, one of the things which we have to understand in international business, that is that foreigners don't want to be known that they are drinkers. So if government of, Gujarat wants GIFT City to prosper, I would say that purely simply somebody is not resident in Gujarat. If he is allowed to drink and not charge for anything, that would make the things more simpler.
Right, quite. I would just like to add one more point. According to HBR report, the most of the cross-border projects or the deal or the JV ventures fails because of the cultural issues, number one. 80% it fails. Number two is a mistiming of FDA and FEMA requirements. It's all time bound. You need to follow accordingly. So these two, if we take care, I should say around 50% we are successful. And also you need to clearly mention the exit rules and regulations and the scope between both the parties.
Santosh.
In the M&A transaction, warranty or
indemnity, political risk insurance.
What role does insurance play?
Let me attempt to answer this question. So, insurance in typical sense which we talk about, this is not very common in these transactions. However, you use the right phrase about reps and warranties. Now, what happens in these deals which we generally recommend is that there has to be a proper financial and legal due diligence to be done before such deal happens. And once you have those red flags, those has to be put in the reps and warranties, or even the indemnification has to be given. So those are the safeguards which companies can have in those documentation to secure their position. Especially we see that once such acquisitions happen, there can be a tax demand which can come after 5 or 6 years of the deal being done. Now the other party is not there. How will you run behind them, chasing them? So when you have such indemnification clauses, then you have some talking point for it. So not insurance typically, but you have those safeguards which helps.
Comment I would like to make. There are insurable risks and there are non-insurable risks. Every risk cannot be insured. There is something called loss of profit insurance, but of course if you take it in advance. In M&A, most of the risks are non-insurable. So it should be, you should manage through risk management and of course through reps and warranties. Thank you. So, and where legal is not is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We must be in Ahmedabad. There is no question. You chamber must have been in Ahmedabad. I do hope. What do you think about this one?
We win. We win.
Let us confess. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank